It's bad. Anime.
This butt's been used. I'm John.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Bad Anime, the show where we decide, is this anime bad? Well, here we are.
So why this one, Bouncy? Because you suggested this. Like, why this one? I mean, I don't mean that from as negatively as that sounds. I'm just why?
No. Good questions. All good questions. I've spoken on this show about the man that is the doorman in my building.
Right.
Very nice guy, very cool guy, loves his shonen stuff, so talks my ear off about shonen stuff, and also pro wrestling, which is great. He's a big Jey Uso fan for some reason.
I mean, look at the storyline he's been having the past 3 years. I kind of get that.
It's been good, but it's like that's his guy, like his number one, all time. And I was like, hey, yeah, let's go that far. But he's a big shonen guy. Big shonen guy. And his name's also John, so I come in and I'm like, hey, John. He's like, hey, John, yo, you seen the show ZOM 100? And I was like, no, I definitely haven't. Is that like a spinoff of Mob Psycho 100? And he was like, yeah, not really. I mean, like, no, but like kind of, but not, no. And I was like, it sounds like a spinoff of Mob Psycho 100.
It's weird that they just...
It's really not...
It's nothing to do with it, but it's titled...
Yeah.
Titled similarly, but there's no difference.
Maybe it's the same studio or something. I hadn't looked this up yet, but I feel like there's some similarity, some significance, but not anything to do with like the show itself. The show is completely different.
Not really anything to do with it, honestly. Maybe some visual elements, but other than that, there's like, again, it's kind of like the Buddy Daddies thing where they name their shows wild enough to catch your attention. So
right.
I think that ZOM 100 title was just like an eye grab.
I think so too. And also, so after that, I kind of looked it up. I did a little bit of due diligence, meaning like I looked it up for approximately 25 seconds, and then I texted
That's a long time.
And I know, for me, wow.
Sure.
And then I
usually spend 15.
I know. And then I texted you afterwards, and I was like, hey, this show's getting a lot of notoriety, because I went to Crunchyroll to find it, and it was like the #1 front page of Crunchyroll.
It's also on Netflix.
It's on Netflix too, yes. It's in a lot of places, and I was like, okay. Seems like this is gaining some traction. Let's do a 3-episode
roll. On a few different streaming services, it's a guaranteed chance of getting a success on your hands.
You're just straight up pulling those streams. So I figured, why not cover it, because it's still pretty early on. As I know, at least like when I watched them, there were only about 5 or 6 episodes out already.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't bother looking to see how many episodes were left. I was like,
wasn't in your 15 seconds of review material.
No, and funny enough, I accidentally put the show off a little bit.
Yes.
Till last night.
Please tell us about this. Tell us about last night.
Well, because I was I live in Nassau County, Long Island right now, but I went out deep into I guess. Are the Hamptons considered a separate county, or is it part of still Suffolk, I guess? I think it's part of Suffolk, right?
I think it's technically Suffolk County, yes.
Yeah, they still have the 631 area code on the phone, so I'm assuming that's... Anyway, so I was deep on the North Fork of Long Island at our mutual friend Chris's place, and it was just the two of us for a while. We're watching an AEW pay-per-view. This is Labor Day weekend. Actually, it's Labor Day right now as we're speaking, because for some reason we always record on holidays now.
We do love recording on holidays. I don't know. It makes me feel good on holidays when we record. It's like, I did something today.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what do I do all holiday? Nothing? Or do I record 3 to 4 episodes of the podcast? It's like, well,
and then nothing.
And then more nothing. Well, we both pooped beforehand, so we should feel good about that.
We did both poop at the same time before starting this today, which is great.
That's what happened with our friend group more and more recently, and I'm not concerned. I'm just curious as to like how do our bodies like get so relaxed and see each other? It's like, yay!
It's like social laxatives.
Social laxatives.
Or it's like, that thing with
that's the best, worst metal band ever. Social laxatives.
Social laxatives. Hey, what's up, Wanta? We're social laxatives. I can't even say it.
That's funny. It reminds me of a prank I wanted to pull, like, at one point, just, with all of our friends, like, come in with a bag of pills, be like, you guys ready to get fucked up? It's like, oh my god, Rob, what are you doing? These drugs? I'm like, just pop one, and they're just stool softeners. So the next day, you just wake up with, like, and you take a slightly softer poo, and then I just text everyone, like, fucking wild morning, right, guys?
Got you, motherfuckers.
Or we'll just like keep playing it up as that was the whole thing. Like, yeah, wasn't that awesome? You didn't have to strain. It's like, oh, what?
I think I was watching this clip recently where, like, I might have sent it to you, but I'm not sure. But this guy was talking to another guy, like, on a podcast, and his guest had OD'd on vitamins. Or tried to commit suicide by over ODing on vitamins, like vitamin B and D and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And well, the host was like, well, clearly you didn't die. And the guy's like, yeah, I just didn't. I guess you can't OD on vitamins. The guy was like, yeah, what did you get? Just like better? Like, did you just feel really good? Like after taking like 20 vitamin D supplements?
Yeah, I mean, there is... It can fuck you up in certain ways. I don't know the full scope of it. I watched the fella from the Asian doctor who was cast in the Hangover movies. That guy.
Yes, Ken Jeong.
Yes.
Yes.
So he's a legitimate doctor before he got into acting. So
wait, really? I didn't even know that. That's really
funny.
Funny.
So like I think it was Wired. You know how they bring on like a specialist in whatever field to do like those type of interviews, or like so like people at the time tweet at them and you know they'll ask questions, answer questions. Yeah, but Jong explained like how you like there's like a certain condition you can get if you over like take vitamins. Huh. So he's like, so I think someone asked like, if I take a lot of vitamin D, will I feel even better? He's like, no. And, like, it can fuck you up, maybe, so, like, just don't do that.
Breaking out vitamin D to the party with the boys.
I'm on vitamin D pills. I actually need to take mine today.
Shots of vitamin D. I actually do take a vitamin D supplement once a day. It's good for you.
I actually got prescribed it by my doctor because it's cripplingly low, so that's
because you spend a lot of time out of the sun, yeah.
Well, yeah, I work nights. So.
You only see the nighttime, basically.
Exactly. So I work in nights, and, you know, being Irish, you know, just the sun is not exactly someone I'm very familiar with.
Not your best friend, no. Definitely
no, because he just hurts my eyes and burns my skin. I don't know why people like him so much.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Kind of a weird, dick.
Man. Yeah, it's kind of a douche.
Yeah, no, we have plants, but so what? Plants suck.
Yeah, I hate plants.
You rub your ankles on the wrong one, you're covered in rashes.
Oh
I mean... I remember I sent you a clip recently, this guy saying, yeah, outside sucks. The only thing that's fun are like 4 casinos and like a pool. And I'm like, I kind of love this guy.
I kind of agree with this. I hate plants. I vehemently hate plants. I'm like, how could they die so quickly if you water them too much? Like, what bullshit is that? Like, I get all these plants, and then they're like, oh, you got to water this one only like once every week, and you got to water this one 2 times a day. How am I going to keep track? I'm just going to water all of them when I water them. But then all of them die because I water them too much. And then I leave for a week, and then I come back, and then they're all dead. We're watching ZOM 100.
Fuck plants and zombies, yeah. I didn't think that's where we go with this.
And zombies. Yeah, we watched ZOM 100. You watched it last night.
So here's how it broke down,
buddy
right?
Mike. Yes.
Well, yes, our Mike Sotak, who also joined. We have a lot of Mikes in our friend group, so for anyone named Mike in our friend group, we often go by their last name. And I'm not going to start calling him Mike on the podcast. I'm just going to keep calling him Sotak.
Good. Thank God. Okay.
You look genuinely relieved.
I was being proper, and I didn't know if I was supposed to be proper or not when talking about a friend's last name. But I guess we don't have to be.
No. So anyway, good. Because what happened was I watched the first episode a while ago, a couple of weeks ago. Probably around the same time I watched the vending machine isekai that we've, at this point, is probably going to be out by now.
Uh-huh. It should, yes.
So anyway, I watched the first episode, and I just completely forgot about the last 2. And so my plan was to leave even a little earlier than I did coming back from out east. And I was going to come home early, bang out the last 2 episodes, head home, and then we'd start recording.
Yeah.
But All Out had finished. We were having a couple beers, and it's like, all right, what should we watch before bed? And I'm like, well, I got a couple episodes of a show to watch. You guys want to start episode 1 and get to at least episode 3? And they were like, okay. It was so funny because they knew that I was going to be recording this for the pod, so they felt at liberty to just kind of yell their opinions as we were going.
Fantastic.
Our friend Chris was super negative the entire time. And it's like, he's like, I get it. It's an allegory for Japanese work culture, whatever. And I'm just like, I mean, yeah, that's the point, but goddamn, Chris, getting a little hot under the collar there, sir.
You're a little angry over there.
Yeah. I'm like, I know the Chris Statlander match was short, but that's no reason to get that mad.
Oh God, it was short. It was a short match.
Yeah, you know, we're big Statlander boys. You know, we're Long Island born, most of us. So you know, it's where we support the stat. Yeah. Anywho, so. Yeah, we have our main character who I think it took like a little while for me to actually realize his name was Akira, because of course it's Akira, and whenever you don't know what to name your anime protagonist, just name him fucking Akira.
It's like at least like a 30% chance that it's Akira at some point.
Yeah. But he's the plucky young college kid, like fresh out of college, who gets hired by a company, and he learns it's one of those. It's of course this is what played up a lot for drama in this show, but a lot of Japanese companies, they're notorious for this. They just working in Japan absolutely sucks. Their work culture is completely toxic.
Yeah, very like exploitative. Like they use that word quite a lot. Exploitative, like work culture. Yeah. Like, oh, your country's really exploits its employees. Like all of his friends tell him.
Exactly. It's like, wow, you need to like quit.
Yeah, and it's very fascinating. You know what was interesting about this first episode is that I think I really, really liked the first episode. Actually, I was really into it when it started, because Akira Tendo, right, our main character, he just starts at this job, and as you were saying, he's plucky, he's happy, and then he starts working there, and he's immediately depressed. Within a week, he realizes what the fuck this job is, and then he gets so depressed because his first day there, like everybody takes him out to dinner, and he's like, "This is amazing. We had work. Like I'm drinking beer with my bros. There's a hot chick in the office, and what could be better than this?" And then they're all like, "All right, time to go back to work." And he's like, "Excuse me?"
And then just go right back to work to finish the job.
And then his first day there is actually his first 3 days there. He doesn't go home for the first 3 days of work.
He pulls a couple all-nighters at work.
Oh my God. Which, like in my early days of work, I had not experienced anything like that, but I have had some late nights very, very early in my career, and I really felt that. I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that feels like.
Oh yeah, and just like anyone who's been like dragged down by their day job.
Oh yeah,
I mean, can totally relate to this. I've had, thankfully I have overtime is very plentiful, and they actually pay me for overtime in my job, so I don't mind staying late. But those nights happen where you're there like 12, 13 hours, and you're just like, I just need to go home.
Yeah,
I need to go to bed.
Get out of here. Like, why is this job important? Like, I don't know.
That's the thing, especially if you're unsure of like if you're unsure of your goal or purpose in a larger company. You feel like a cog. If you ever get that feeling like you're just a cog in a machine,
Yeah. And also for him, specifically for this character, like Akira's character, like this, which is kind of an issue in a lot of places. This job, he said at least, was his dream job out of college, and he got his dream job right out of college, which, like, maybe sometimes that could be a bad thing, because you just realize that maybe it isn't what you wanted it to be the whole time.
That's also a crushing thing, when you get whatever you want and you're just not happy, or it's really it was a bill of goods, or etc. Like, you're just not happy in that environment. That's a crushing feeling. When,
it is.
Especially when it's the double whammy of like that ultimate high of getting everything you wanted, and then the crushing reality of it.
This isn't anything I actually. Oh no, I made a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. And at one point, you have other employees sleeping underneath their like desks. Some of them are bragging. Some of them are bragging about having 150 hours of unpaid overtime for the month, which is 37 and a half hours a week. So these guys are pulling 80, 90-hour weeks and bragging about it. I'm like, ew. Just ew.
That is definitely as like disgusting corporate work culture as you could possibly get. People bragging about how much they work, and like that I think was so valued in America, at least in like the boomer period, was so valued, like how much shit you're doing and like how much work you're doing. And I'm sure it's still very much a thing in Japan, which I've heard much about the work culture in Japan, and just how incredibly difficult it is over there to survive.
Environment. When I was 20 years old, just studying there, they would see a lot of Japanese salarymen would see the long-haired American kid who spoke reasonable enough conversational Japanese. So they were just, and because I told the story of the podcast before, I was always told at the time my pronunciation was very good. So people would assume I had a higher level of understanding just because my pronunciation was better than it should have been at the time.
I see.
And then they just laugh and they're like, okay, who are you, kid? Let's talk. So we'd have like several drinks out, at the time I was probably drinking Japanese whiskey a lot. And we're chatting, and they were telling me like, yeah, no, I just worked a 70-hour week. And I'm like, holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
I went to like 2 classes today. Just to compare our experiences.
I drank for 70 hours this week.
At the time, I mean, not far off. I mean, probably at the time, nah. Oh yeah, numbers are numbers. Anywho,
yeah, I mean to echo Chris's very loud point, this is definitely an allegory of Japanese work culture. Even more so, it is just a commentary on Japanese work culture in of itself, of course.
Exactly.
But obviously, you're thinking throughout this whole episode, okay, when's the zombies coming? And they just
show up because, like, I love, of course, it's a very Anno. There's a couple of like Gainaxy Anno-esque things in the first episode that made me, of course, get very happy. Mm-hmm. Where it's cheesy as hell, but the poetic and cinematic device they use, where at one point Akira's so beaten down his entire world's gray, and he's getting chased by the zombies.
Yeah,
but then what was I about to say? But then, like, he realizes he doesn't have to go to work. His entire world turns to color.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that touch.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the touch too. He even sees his own blood at one point. He's freaking out because it's how bright and red it is.
And he's like, woohoo! Yeah.
It just being that, but I can relate to that so hard, that freedom.
Yeah.
And I love, of course, the one scene where he's like laying on the roof, the world's falling apart beneath. He's like, what can I do today? Well, I can get my motorcycle license. I'm like, you don't need that. The world's falling apart. And he was like,
you could just maybe I can drive a motorcycle.
And he's like, maybe I could binge drink and watch movies all day. And I'm like, okay, this guy's my speed.
Yeah.
While that line did pop the room when it's just three adult males having a few too many beers, and we're just like, okay, yeah, this guy's kind of sick. Reminds us he's like a young adult, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that popped me too at home, but he was like, you know what? Why don't I just like drink beer all day? And I was like, yeah.
Come to America, boy.
Let's go.
I'll give you some moonshine.
Yeah, you will. You have it. You do have it.
Yeah, I told you that story before we got on the pod. We both ran behind a little schedule today. You were at brunch and I was coming back from out east. And I was a few minutes late because I did miss a turn at one point that I had like 10 minutes to my trip. I got off of the wrong exit. And but another 20 minutes or so, because in that part of Long Island, it's all like farms and vineyards and shit. Mm-hmm. But I see a moonshine distillery right on on my right hand side, so I pulled over immediately, and I'm just like, time to get some moonshine. I walked in, it's just this dude. He's like, yeah, I got moonshine. I make it in my basement. I'm like, we should phrase that differently. But,
I'll take two.
I did. Because this guy's deal was amazing. I actually had to tell him to stop serving me because he was the original. I was looking at the menu, and of course the first option appealed to me. It was a tasting of 3 whatever you want for $9. I'm like, awesome. And the tasting glasses that were used, they're like kind of actually like they look like almost like wood, like medieval style, like tiny little picture like a medieval chalice, but like the size of a thimble.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so like there was cute little like miniature tasting glasses. So I tasted 3 things, and then he kept giving me more things I didn't ask for. Just because he's like, oh yeah, because he had like a spicy apple pie moonshine, which is one of the ones I got. And he said, yeah, let me show you the spicy whiskey. I infuse it with the same jalapenos. And he offered me like 1 or 2 more, and then eventually I had to say like, sir, I have to drive.
I have a car.
You're on the side of the road.
I parked right here in front of you. Is this what you do to everybody that comes here?
You're on the side. Well, they're great because it was actually pretty funny because there was like a family of 4 buying stuff in front of me. There was a young girl with them. She must have been like 22. And she was saying, have you been here? It's really good. And she was clearly buzzed. So I'm like, okay, she is getting buzzed right now with her family. Because they had shots on the menu. So for $6, Amazing. You could have a shot of whatever you wanted. And I'm like, wow. Oh my. So like, fucking families are probably pulling up, getting shots. The ones who aren't drinking are probably driving everyone back. I'm like, what the fuck is this place?
Of this man's basement moonshine that he's just giving out to people on the side of the road.
He must have one of those big ass farms or something. Because like he was talking to me about the barrels, and I'm like, you have giant ass barrels in
your basement?
Yeah, he had like giant ass. He had enough space in his basement with all the barrels of brandy. Wow. He said, yeah, I kept it limited though. I only did 1,000 bottles. I'm like, you must have an.
How large is your basement, sir?
He must actually own like one of the vineyards or something near. Or yeah, wow. His house is probably a massive actual distillery. I'm like,
maybe he has like some sort of I was gonna say maybe he has some sort of thing going on, and then he just uses the basement as his like personal project on the side.
But he just shouldn't phrase it as his basement.
He really shouldn't.
He could have just said, yeah, I aged this for 7, because it was a 7-year brandy was the one he wanted to really show me.
Wow, it's just been
of course, it was the most expensive.
7 years.
Yeah, wow. Aging 7 years. I did. He gave me a free taste of it, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not very familiar with brandy, but that was fucking good.
Yeah. I don't know much about it either, but I'm sure it was delicious.
But yeah,
it came from his basement. Very interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why did he say basement? But yeah, so as into my head, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta get back. I gotta record. But I gotta get some moonshine, so I did. I got the regular apple pie moonshine and the spicy apple pie moonshine. Yum. And depending on how the rest of this day goes, there's a barbecue going on not too far from me. So who knows, if I stop by right before everyone goes to bed, I'm like, hey, who wants some moonshine? You're like, excuse me?
I feel like right before everybody goes to bed is the perfect time to offer people moonshine. They've gone through enough in the day that they're like, I'm about to go out anyways, like down and out, as in. So I may as well just like have something warm on the way down,
Yeah. So my Labor Day weekend has been very interesting. Crushing a variety of beers with the boys last night. Watching ZOM 100. Chris went to bed after the second episode, and me and Mike stayed up and watched the rest, and it was great. Anywho,
yes.
I really, really did enjoy the first episode because of those cheesy little poetic devices. You could say like, oh, that's a little over the top, but like it's anime. It's supposed to be over the top.
No, I very much enjoyed it. I think I really, really also enjoyed the main character's kind of transformation from this like very, very sad, like very like doe-eyed, but also like really, really pronounced eye-bagged, like overworked guy to this just super happy, like, I don't have to work anymore? Oh my God. Yay. And just being super happy, even though people are like literally getting murdered right below him. It's very funny. So I really enjoyed that juxtaposition as like, everybody obviously sees this as the apocalypse, and he's like, this is like the like that, like yesterday was the apocalypse. This is great. Like I'm having a wonderful time. So I really enjoyed that kind of like anime spin on it, where it's like,
I love the juxtaposition. Yeah,
this guy loves life right now, but life is getting eaten by zombies consistently.
Yes, that's his life, and he doesn't care. In the next episode, he goes to the convenience store. He's scaling the
beer. He wants to just buy beer.
He's like, no, I'm out of beer. I can't chill out without it. I'm like, okay, you might have a problem, but given everything you just went through at work, I'm going to give you the pass, bro.
I'll give you the pass. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
But it was so funny because he was scaling down the building, and he sees his neighbors are like, who are you? And he's like, I'm a guy. Want anything from the convenience store? They're like, what? The only character I didn't like was because it was a couple, and I didn't like the female because she asked for toilet paper and specified 2-ply. I'm like, ma'am, the world's on fire. You can't specify what kind of toilet paper you want.
You will get what you get, and you don't get upset.
Exactly, but fucking Akira gets on his motorcycle, plows through some zombies, and nothing made me laugh harder than when he got off the motorcycle, was walking into the convenience store and started going, beer, beer, beer.
It was so funny
because I think I always do that in my head when I go buy beer, but now I might just start doing it out loud. Just go head to McBreed's or my other local beverage centers, like beer, beer, beer,
yay, beer.
Just loudly start saying that as I'm marching. It's like, okay, this kid's clearly 19.
And
I'm like, no, I'm 30.
Like, he's going in there, and he goes in there, and like, there's that lady in there. I don't think they revealed her name yet, but she's in there, this girl. And she's like buying like not buying, but actually like getting products, like things that will sustain your life.
Yes, survival materials.
And he's just filling up his case with just cans of beer. And she's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, she's like, what are you doing? Of course, she's like the edgy pragmatist right here, and probably how you should be in a fucking zombie apocalypse. She's like,
probably,
you're useless. And he's like, but we can hang out. And she's like, no, you're going to get me killed. And we presumably see more of her later on in the series because in the intro bit, she's in there featured predominantly. So the episode ends. Of course, Akira goes back to his apartment building. The couple got infected, so they're dead. Yep. And he's like, that sucks. And I don't remember how the episode ends. He's kind of like, oh, well.
I really don't. He's like, all right, well, I got my beer.
Exactly. Then he starts having some beer. He's like, well, life's going to be tough, but I have beer. I'm like, if they got this episode sponsored by a proper beer in Japan and actually had their advertising all over the episode, like the actual cans was that brand instead of like just the generic beer.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been the best product placement of all time. Like, wow, the world's on fire, but I can still go for an ebisu right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All these zombies have killed all of my family and friends, but thank God I got a 16-pack of Kirin Ichiban.
Exactly. Thank God I got 20 Kierans. I'll be fine. I'm like,
I'll be fine for 2 hours.
I'll be I'll be fine for one movie.
Yeah, so that happens, and of course, I think at the end of the second or the end of the first episode, somewhere in the first two, he starts creating like a bucket list, and that's, I guess, like the idea of the whole show, that he wants
the actual 100
accomplish
is the
all of these 100 things before he inevitably dies or turns into a zombie. Which is fine. I like the concept, honestly.
I love that idea. It's like, if I'm about to die, here's what I'm doing. Right. And I just love the tone about it because it's so positive. It's like, well, I'm gonna die, but I love that kind of tone, like smiling in the face of darkness, or like I always go on about. It's part of the reason why I loved Ava so much. So that's why I like the ending of Ava. So I'm like, okay, I really like some of the emotional notes they're hitting here. But I also really enjoyed the fact that he only gets up to 30, and he's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And one of the things, notably, he wrote was drinking beer with my friend. And in the third episode, of course, as you were about to say, I'm sure, he goes to save his friend from a nightclub in Shinjuku that's clearly half sex dungeon. So
it was like
funny.
A brothel. It was a brothel in Shinjuku. The guy clearly went to before the thing broke out, and fucking the girl he was with turned into a zombie, but she turned into a zombie while she was bound on a giant, complicated sex machine. I don't know how else to describe it.
And they're locked in this room with this BDSM zombie that is just
and he's like, God damn it. And he suddenly gets a call from Akira, and he's like, hello? And Akira's like, oh, Tencho, you're alive. Sweet. And he's like, hey, Akira, you sound upbeat. He's like, Akira's at the time, he's like, where are you? Shinjuku. And he's like, cool, I'll save you. It's like,
I'll come get you. Yeah.
It's like, excuse me?
Wow.
Yeah. But it's confusing. So he drives through like what's clearly meant to be Shibuya first. I'm like, that's not Shinjuku. That's the Shibuya crossing. What are we doing?
Inaccuracies. What is this?
Exactly. I mean, they're down the road from each other, but I'm just like, I guess he took the scenic route. But yeah, eventually he busts out Kensho, who had a very different career path than Akira.
Yes,
Kensho was telling him the entire time, like, hey, you need to quit this job, dude. And Akira's like, it's not that easy, you jackass.
And
they have like a bit of a falling out because of it.
Like, I'm like a real estate agent, and I meet celebrities, and like I'm all cool and stuff. And immediately when he was saying those things, I was like, he hates his job. He absolutely fucking hates his job. And then of course it gets revealed that like, Akira.
I hated my job.
Kensho, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I can't believe I just was pissed off at you. I was just jealous that you liked your job and you were doing well in life. And Kensho's like, I hated my job too.
And then with Kensho, they were fucking
my favorite scene in the first 3 episodes when like they get to a roof because they've evacuated the building that Kensho's in, and Akira's like, I'm just gonna jump across the street to the next building roof, and he does it because he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. And Kensho's like, bro, I can't do that. And during this time, Kensho reveals that he didn't really want to be a real estate agent. He wanted to be a stand-up comedian.
He wanted to be a comic,
And Akira's like, yo, that makes sense, bro. You're so fucking funny. You should have totally done that. Just do your stand-up routine right now. And the zombies are coming, and he's like, okay, fine. And then he like runs to jump, and immediately, and you know what I'm going to flashback to with this, but immediately, mid-air, loses all of his clothes, gets completely naked, falls, barely grabs onto the building. Akira has to fight back tears of laughter to pull him up. And he gets up and he's just fully naked. He's like, dude, you're so funny. And he's like, I know, I want to be a comedian. I just get naked all the time. It's great.
Well, it's funny. There was a period of my life where that was a very common comedic trick of mine. I used to say, well, you can't argue with a naked guy, and then immediately get naked as fast as possible.
Just be naked. Like,
just be naked. You can't argue with
mid-air. Just shed your clothes somehow.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember doing this, but as you guys infamously told this story, we were in Amsterdam of all places. We got back to the hotel room that had 4 beds in it somehow. Like it was four twin beds in literally a room. Like there was no compartments. It was just a room with 4 beds and maybe a bathroom. I barely remember that part. And then apparently we got home and I'm like, oh, I'm tired. And then I as I start falling down into bed, somehow I get naked before I actually touch the bed. And you guys like, how?
How did you get naked so fast? This exactly reminded me of that. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Yeah, no, it pops the room. A naked guy is always just funny.
Yeah. You just can't argue with him, you know?
Yeah, you can't argue with a naked guy. So take that away, listeners.
And then they
end the
episode. They end the episode both naked, drinking beers on the roof like total bros.
Like total bros
great.
being guys.
Just being boys, being dudes, being gays. I mean, guys. Just hanging out, just guys.
Very quickly, you're both like, guys.
And they're hanging out on the roof, just both naked, just hanging out, laughing. And that's the end of the third episode. Yeah, I mean, we've been pretty positive this whole time, and I genuinely didn't think I was going to be so positive on this.
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
Because, remember how I said in the intro? They highlighted 4 characters, one of them who didn't show up yet. It was a blonde lady. The blonde lady with big old boobs.
Yes.
And Mr. Sotak looked at me, he's like, this one's just him and I awake. He's like, well, she's probably debuting in episode 4. We got to watch it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's watch episode 4. So
Did she?
She didn't show up, but episode 4 was hysterical.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, good.
So in contrast to the format of our usual 3-episode rule, where we decide if we're in and out on the show, I guess I've already made my stance. I guess I'm in on this show because I did watch episode 4 and I fucking loved it. So
I looked up, I have like some synopsis of the episodes, and I briefly looked up the synopsis for episode 4, and it is killing me. It's Akira and Kensho decide to go to the department store to get a flat screen TV.
Yes.
I fucking love the premise of this show about just being 2 dudes that want to bro out and just totally bro down, and they're like, well, we got the beers, well, we got the apartment, we just need a flat screen TV to watch the game.
and the episode only gets...
just, during a zombie apocalypse, to just find a TV.
And it just escalates from there. The humor, it gets insane at one
that's
point.
Amazing. That is amazing. Yeah, they did a really good job with positioning this show narratively in the way that it's just so fucking funny. And you're just so excited to see like what antics are they gonna get into next, because it is really just like, weirdly enough, it's like kind of slice of lifey, but in a zombie world.
But a zombie apocalypse slice of life kind of action series, because they have some cool action moments as well. The action isn't emphasized as much, obviously, but it's cool and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I'm in on this. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm going to continue it in my free time, maybe gradually, of course, but when I have a free moment here or there. But you know what? I was really pleasantly surprised by ZOM 100. I thought it was a funny, good time. Where do you stand, sir? Are you in, or are you thinking maybe out on this one?
I'm also like super in. I was so skeptical at first because I just had no idea what to think at first. The first episode kind of grabbed me in how like dramatic it was, and like how like the colors and like the art style, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then the next 2 episodes, I was like, "Oh, this is what the show is." That's hilarious.
Now I get the point.
I'm down with this. Yeah, it's just kind of like, I love it as maybe I wouldn't like binge it or anything, but anytime I kind of have like some free time, like let's see what's happening in this world right now.
Exactly.
And just kind of go into it. And I think that's probably how I'm going to consume it over the next few months, because like watching 3 episodes in a row was fine, but like, you know, I could watch like one every other week, honestly, and just weekly as they come out and just ingest it
as the show is intended to be consumed weekly. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I just think this show was so freaking funny. It was so funny. It was really well done. I like the characters. I like the relationship between Kensho and Akira so far. I just think it's so funny. I don't know. I'm fully behind this show. I think it's great.
Yeah, this is the most positive we've both been on a newer program in a while. So
it is. And it's newer, so I really didn't expect much, but damn, it is really fun. It is a great time.
I'm going to raise my Red Bull right now and say cheers to you, ZOM 100, for being such a pleasant surprise.
Yes, and I will raise my water.
We're lame.
We'll do that.
Cheers.
Cheers. It's a Monday. Happy Labor Day.
Labor.
It's bad.
That's right, everybody. The fun is over today. Thanks so much for clicking on the episode, but the fun does not have to stop here. You can hit us up anywhere that you can find us on Instagram or TikTok at badanimepod, or you can even email us to get in touch with us directly at badanimepod@gmail.com if you got any opinions or just want to send some hate mail or love mail. We'll take both. We don't care. Thanks so much for listening, everybody, and have a great day.
Simple Equations Podcast Network.